I stand by corrected. Access denied. Charlie Brown. Well, I'm just gonna wait till someone comes here until I can tell them what's going on. Why is the title like that? Ha 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 ha. Let's see if I even know how to spell hurricane, because I'm sure I don't. Ha 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 ha. Oh wait, there's a live stream about this hurricane. No, actually, it's not actually that funny. This was 5 hours ago.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Glorin. We're going to begin tonight with Hurricane Florence. It grew today into a powerful Category 4, which the National Hurricane Center says is capable of catastrophic damage. Florence is on a collision course with the Carolinas.
How is it going that big?
Here is what it looks like from space. The hurricane is now packing winds of up to 140 miles an hour.
Jesus.
Satellite view shows the storm about 1,200 miles east of the Carolinas now. States of emergency are in effect from South Carolina to Maryland, and many coastal residents are being ordered out. David Begnaud is on the coast of South Carolina. We will check in with him in just a moment.
So some people are already ordered out. Wow. This is good news because my family wasn't being ordered out.
Look, we are looking at a major storm here, Jeff. It's not only intensified in the last 12 hours, but the expansive zone of hurricane force winds has also nearly doubled in size. It's strengthening. It's now to a Category 4. Winds sustained to 140 miles per hour at this point. Movement is west-northwest at about 13 miles per hour, which puts it just shy of 1,200 miles away from the South Carolina-North Carolina coastline. You can watch as the storm comes into view here, but look at the nice pocket of darker color up to the north. That's what we call the Bermuda High. It's steering the storm system south, but just as it starts to ride that ridge, we watch a turn into the U.S. coastline here. We're talking about a Cat 4 moving into intensely warm waters, 85-plus mile-an-hour waters. That acts almost not just as fuel, but as premium fuel to intensify and charge that system up. We anticipate a possible landfall, likely as a Category 4 storm.
This
we don't look at
serious.
On that line, but rather
I'm sorry, I
the entire
had
cone
to
of
do
error.
that.
So concern is from the Carolinas all the way really up to Virginia. But what happens once it
like,
makes
when
landfall
is
is of
something
secondary
not
concern,
serious?
because yes, we're worried about the winds.
Wait,
yes, we're worried, of course, about the intensity.
I
of
feel like I have a
storm.
memory of
Look how it
this.
slows
Hold
down
on.
once it makes a landfall. Then we're talking about a forward
I
speed
know
of
some
15
people
miles
don't
an hour,
believe in
slowing
God,
to nearly half that,
but I do.
and then nearly
Yes.
half that again as we roll
My
into the
family
weekend.
is always
the problem
like that.
with that is
They
then
would
we
never
talk
stop
about the
being like
intensity
that.
of rain coming into place. This is going to be a big rainmaker. You remember Harvey? The rains were so intense. And Jeff, it looks like the best bet at this point is to head far now, north, west, or out towards Atlanta.
A big storm that is moving very
So we're literally like in a ditch, to be honest. Where I live, I'm in a ditch. Okay, so like for us, there's kind of like nowhere out unless we leave early before the hurricane hit. And hopefully we get to take the dogs, because I don't want my dog dying, because it might be sad.
So when you go inland, you might be able to drive 4 or 5 or 6.
Hey, live stream over live stream, get it?
Think about how you can get away from the total influence of the storm, and that might mean
Here comes the sun, here comes the rain, sitting in the eye of a hurricane.
Is in Carolina Beach.
beachside. Things are just about perfect right now.
It's been beautiful the last
Yeah,
few
right
days.
now.
Along the south Atlantic
Later, it will be
change dramatically.
deadly.
Forecast places North Carolina in the bullseye of Hurricane Florence. Storm is rapidly.
If it hits South Carolina,
Florence is a monster.
it
Major
would
hurricane
be
visible
worse
from
than
space, churning in the
if
Atlantic,
it
gathering
wasn't.
strength and pushing toward the coast. There really is a
I don't know knowledge, because I'm not a
dangerous
grown-up.
dangerous coastal
Even if I
storm
was
surge,
knowledge,
and also dangerous
we would
riverine
still have
flooding
problems.
caused by high amounts of precipitation. Hundreds of thousands in the strike zone are getting ready.
Wait, what?
When
windows and sandbags to block floodwaters.
I'm worried. I want a generator.
There's been a run on generators and everything else needed to ride out the storm.
I got candles, I got flashlights, I got tons of gallons of water. Yeah, I'm ready.
Working, waiting, and watching as Florence closes in. Jay Gray, NBC News, Carolina Beach, North Carolina.
So many hazards and threats that we're going to have to deal with here with Florence. So we want to break
To
down
be
what
honest,
the
I
hazards
heard
and
that
threats
this
are
hurricane
and
was in
the
the
impacts that are gonna
Bible.
be felt because of them. So our storm specialist Carl Parker,
And I also heard from my older sister what's in the... Oh. Yeah, Lizzie, I'm toast going to die. Yay. That depends if you live where I live. Lizzie, if you didn't know about this, this is just sad. This must be sad. Triple sad. Just sad.
Extends from the Outer Banks into the Sounds, into the central part of North Carolina, and the storm is obviously...
The thing is that I don't want to die.
And it's going to take some time for all that inertia to spin down.
If I die, I'm blaming all y'all.
Well inland, right up into Raleigh, Durham there, and central parts of North Carolina.
I don't live near you, so
Pretty much the same sort of pattern
how would I?
extends from the Outer Banks into the
Don't good luck me.
Carolina, but again,
I have the worst luck of history, just so you know.
or diagnosis
The worst luck.
possible that there's going to be a shift.
I'm laughing so much, it hurts.
Just don't
Yeah, shut up.
the way that it's going to be. This is the best guess right now. This is how it
Lizzie,
looks right now, but it's still
don't leave me here to die.
unsure, and that's why you got to stay with us every day, and we'll let you know how
My mom has to stay here.
of the tropical storm force winds.
Her job says she can't leave.
Winds come in.
That's stupid.
You're not going to be able to
I ain't gonna have fun. Shut up.
do stuff out and everything.
But the thing is that my mom can't leave.
Do that when it starts to get really windy.
So,
So those winds are likely to come in on Wednesday evening.
if my mom can't leave, that means my stepdad won't leave. So
Step up
if
and then start to get into interior parts of North Carolina.
near one of my parents could leave, that means my older sister has to take the truck,
What we call wind field.
my mom's truck, and then just leave us. Yeah, have fun. Lizzie! I'm sorry.
Comes in on Thursday evening.
Lazari.
Certainly so into
Lizzie. There's so many ways I can call you right now.
as well there.
But I'm not gonna have fun. Stop it.
The storm goes.
You a little twerk.
Those surge impacts, and here's Jackie with that.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that because that's life-threatening and is going to be a big
Stop
deal for
looking.
people on the coast and even away inland. There are many factors
I'm gonna say something just because I'm lazy.
storm surge can get and how far inland it gets, and this really begins to come in leading up to the storm making landfall. So we're talking about feeling those impacts.
I might die, Lizzie. Do you want me to die or not?
See some of those wave heights. So as Carl mentioned, it really has to do with the push of the wind moving the water. Some people kind of have this myth idea that the
Lizzie, you want me to die or not?
creates this bubble and just splashes the water on the coast. That's not the case. It's the wind pushing the water. Winds
'Cause this is serious.
in a hurricane. So depending on the orientation to the coast, then depends on exactly where that highest water.
You ain't gonna die. It's a hurricane. What do you expect?
The speed of the winds, it's also the forward motion of the storm. You have to take into account all of those
Lazari, such torture. My family was in a hurricane and they survived. Yeah, that's your family.
30 miles, believe it or not,
Prayer
high as
for you.
now that's not
I know.
here.
I don't want to die.
Starting tomorrow morning, we're probably
This is the live news, what's happening right now.
and so you know that those areas definitely
So I'm just going to make it bigger so y'all could see instead of looking at the chat.
The Carolinas are kind of in a unique area in terms of the storm surge threats, and a lot of it has to do with elevation, but it also has
Sometimes I don't get this stuff. Hold on, there's something on Discord. Go watch your Hold on. And then number one, all girls just wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna. That's all they really want. Some fun. I live in. I don't live in South Carolina. I live in Virginia, Hampton, Virginia. So that's literally like close where the hurricane is coming from. That's literally like close.
Yeah, we've got a lot of moisture that's going to be coming in, and this is a look at the total model sees it. So you see the hurricane really stands out there, that big circle of red. Notice it moves pretty quickly over the next few days, and then Thursday.
So
that's when it starts to slow
the
down.
hurricane will literally be
Saturday,
right next to me. So.
And then Saturday into Sunday moves a little bit more to the west. So it's around for a long period of time, and that prolonged period of time is what is going to dramatically increase the potential for flash flooding. This is a look at the European model total rainfall here, and these are enormous areas of 8 to 12 inches.
Anyway, I want to do something real quick because I'm getting mad. And what kind of two phones and a tablet are useful when you have to use it? Wait, hold up. It's near. Like I know. I have so many messages because okay, there we go. So, I think it is. I don't know.
During the height of the storm, like you would for a tornado, and even in tropical.
But we're just gonna continue watching this.
Don't stay in a mobile home. Nobody should be in the upper floors of a high-rise during a hurricane, and consider leaving any structure you don't feel safe in from the wind.
Yeah, if you think I've got an old don't know if it's built to standard, just find a safe spot. Give yourself that peace of mind. Surge, obviously, one of the other big concerns when we look at threats from these storms. And Jim Eds took this incredible video just during Hurricane Irma last year, just about a year ago. Big Pine Key, you saw that rush of water. We see the water rise, but you also see how quickly that water's moving.
Wow, and water is so powerful, and we often aren't afraid enough of it. And we urge people.
And by the way, Lizzie, the hurricane will have a flood with it too. This one. This one is the most dangerous one I ever seen. And this is the first hurricane I have witnessed in my entire life. So.
And don't assume just because you can't see the ocean that it can't come to you. Storm surge can go blocks to miles inland. And then decide right now where you go and how you get there if you're told to evacuate. And when you're deciding on where you're going to go, consider special needs you might have that you need to have at that shelter if you have medical equipment.
Oh, girls just wanna
if you're in a safe place, you're inland, out of a storm surge zone, strong home, not a flood-prone area, why don't you be an inland evacuation destination? Because people are going to be looking for places to stay, you know, and the shelters, the hotels might be full or just not in the right place.
Yeah, you know, people have the medical needs, they need power. People have a lot of pets or different pets, you know. I've got 3 dogs, so I know that I would need to find somebody who's going to accommodate that. So if you've got a safe spot, be that open door, somebody can hopefully do it for you.
Yeah, and, you know, one last
H to the nod, not letting my dogs die. Well, Prince can die. I really don't care. But that's just a hometown sweetheart. And I love her, but I don't want her to die. So that ain't going nowhere. So I ain't living that story. Cause I ain't that mean. Sweet home Alabama. I'm sorry. I didn't drink. I didn't have soda today. Just kidding. Soda would make me drunk anyway. Number one.
Where exactly is it going to be coming? And well, we don't know that yet because the model guidance has got a pretty broad spread. It's got a pretty broad spread going into this time frame, so we don't know precisely where it's going to come in, but roughly it looks like it's going to be towards the Carolinas. But the trend in the model guidance, Jackie, over just the last day here, really since the last couple of advisories, has been to move this track just a little more towards the north and towards the east. So we'll see if that trend continues. It's not at all unusual to see this, what we call windshield wipering, where it kind of goes back and forth. So we'll see if this is a lasting trend or if it manages to come back.
All right. Well, our data is so much better today thanks to the hurricane hunters. Yes. So that forecast continuing to improve. It's because we don't have a lot of data. But there are a few places where we can get that information, and I want to show you a couple of buoys that are within the line and within the path of Florence. And there you can see they're few and far between, right? There's so many more the closer towards the coast. But take a look at that one that's right near Florence right now. This is about 120 miles or so away from the center of the storm. And notice the data that's been coming in over the last 12 hours. It's really been significant watching those wind speeds increase as well as watching those wave heights go up. So this will be a good one to watch over the next couple of hours. Well, you can ask us your hurricane questions because I know you have a lot of them. You can ask them on Twitter by using the hashtag hurricane questions. And we've got one coming in tonight that we want to ask our Carl Parker for you. And here's the question that's coming in from Angie, and she wants to know, what are we really looking at for the Chesapeake Bay area and its surrounding area?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer because we don't know precisely where.
Too bad I don't have Twitter.
We know that there's likely going to be.
Because I'll be asking a bunch of questions.
Probably
are we going to die? Are we going to live?
Will we see something much more than that? Well, that depends on whether or not it's more off towards the north and east here. The best guess is that the storm is going to come down the center line of that cone there, but it's possible that it's more to the north. Again, because there's really nothing standing in the way of this storm in terms of intensity. We may see some minor changes, some fluctuations in terms of the internal structure, but the environment, the larger environment, is generally going to be very favorable. So we could be talking about a Category 4 storm coming into the coastline, and that would be towards Thursday evening. Now, where exactly is it going to be coming in? Well, we don't know that yet because the model guidance it's got a pretty broad spread. It's got a pretty broad spread going into this time frame. So we don't know precisely where it's going to come in, but roughly it looks like it's going to be towards the Carolinas. But the trend in the model guidance, Jackie, over just the last day here, really since the last couple of advisories, has been to move this track just a little more towards the north and towards the east. So we'll see if that trend continues. It's not at all unusual to see this, what we call windshield wipering, where it kind of goes back and forth. So we'll see if this is a lasting trend or if it manages to come back.
All right. Well, our data is so much better today thanks to the hurricane hunters.
Yes.
So that forecast continuing to improve. It's because we don't have a lot of data out over the open water, right? But there are a few places where we can get that information. And I want to show you a couple of buoys that are within the line and within the path of Florence. And there you can see they're few and far between, right? And there's so many more the closer towards the coast. But take a look at that one that's right near Florence right now. This is about 120 miles or so away from the center of the storm. And notice the data that's been coming in over the last 12 hours. It's really been significant watching those wind speeds increase as well as watching those wave heights go up. So this will be a good one to watch over the next couple of hours. Well, you can ask us your hurricane questions because I know you have a lot of them. You can ask them on Twitter by using the hashtag hurricane questions. And we've got one coming in tonight that we want to ask our Carl Parker for you. And here's the question that's coming in from Angie, and she wants to know, what are we really looking at for the Chesapeake Bay area and its surrounding area?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer because we don't know.
South Carolina life. We want to be safe and sorry. And if the hurricane miraculously overnight decides to go elsewhere, then we can take corrective action. But we've stood up. Our emergency response team. It's a lot easier to stand down than it is to get organized and stand up. But we're up, and we're going to stay up, and we're going to protect the people of this state.
Some wise words there from the South Carolina governor, where more than 1 million people are being told to leave the coast. And in North Carolina, people are taking the warning seriously. Take a look at this. Long lines for gas in Kitty Hawk. People waiting for hours to fill up. Others stocking up, filling up extra gas cans. We want to bring in our storm specialist, Carl Parker, for the latest with Florence. And Carl, we've been watching the satellite picture. It's looking very interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah, we may be looking at some changes in the structure of the storm right now, and so sometimes that can mean a little bit of a change in intent. Probably not going to make that much of a difference because the environmental conditions are going to be so favorable, so it's most likely going to maintain its status as a major hurricane, possibly as a Category 4, right up until the point that it makes landfall. But what we do see, and something that's very difficult to anticipate other than in the shortest term, is there are changes that can occur in the central part of the storm. It's called eye wall replacement cycles. And if you look at the eye here, you notice in the early part of the loop, it's very rounded, sort of a larger eye, very well formed. And just in the last couple of frames there, it's gotten a little bit tighter and it's a little bit more oblong. It's not quite as rounded. And so it may be that this eye wall, that area of storms that's right around the eye, right in there, that eye wall may be starting to collapse. And when that happens, then an outer eye wall takes over, and then that can begin to contract, and the whole process can repeat. It can actually happen a couple of times, sometimes in the life cycle of a storm, or even more than that. So when that happens, when you lose that inner eye wall, the highest intensity comes down, but at the same time, the area of strong winds begins to expand. So it may be that you bring down the highest winds, at least for a short time, but it may also be that you expand the area of winds. And so when you expand the area of winds, you increase the surge threat. So you don't really gain that much. Even if you bring the highest winds down, maybe you reduce the wind threat somewhat, but you can increase the surge threat. And the surge certainly is one of the number one killers of hurricanes. So a lot of interesting things to watch, but again, generally speaking, it's going to be an unfavorable environment, and for that reason, we think it's likely going to be a very strong storm as it comes in. Now, we're watching this ridge right in there. We've been seeing a lot more of this type of thing in recent years. Ridges of high pressure are getting stronger and more pervasive. And so they've been causing weather to do strange things. And of the storms that were in Florence's position 3 days ago on Friday, of all the storms within 200 miles of that point, every last one of them in the record came around and curved around. It was somewhere between those two lines right there. Every last one of them, 79 storms, did that. Of all the storms that came within that same point that were named storms when they came within that point. So for this storm to now do this and come into the coast is really unprecedented in terms of where it was a named storm, and that has everything to do with this unusually strong area of high pressure, which is sitting here and blocking the system and keeping it from moving out to the north and to the east. So that's why it's driving to the west. And again, this is something that we're seeing more of in recent years. Now, by the time it gets up in here, you've got this sort of an elongated area of high pressure right in there. And in fact, it's getting a little bit stronger right over the lakes, and that's going to help to block it from moving more to the northwest. That's a big part of why it really slows down at that point, and that's why we think there's going to be a really significant flash flooding threat, and then eventually it's going to begin to lose some punch there and start to wind down. But bottom line is that in the longer term, you're looking at a terrific amount of heavy rainfall and a huge inland flooding threat. Jackie, over to you.
All right, no big surprises that we have active things things going on in the tropics, not just Florence, but we've got a number of other tropical storms and other hurricanes out there as we're at the climatological peak. And we want to give you a heads up of what's going on right now in the eastern Pacific because the U.S. will likely be impacted by Tropical Storm Olivia. In fact, Hawaii should be feeling the effects of this storm already as we head into Tuesday night. So 70 mile per hour,
that's why
sustained winds. That's what Olivia's been doing, kind of holding steady. It's moving in a westerly direction and about 380 miles away from Hilo as we speak. So it's expected to start to dip a little bit down towards the southwest, which would bring it right across the central parts of the islands as a tropical storm. So Tuesday night into Wednesday, probably even lingering into Thursday, especially in the morning for impacts. If you're just joining us, we've had some changes now in the tropical storm warnings, and that's that the island of Oahu, including Honolulu, have now been upgraded to a tropical storm warning, and Kauai has now been put under a tropical storm watch. So that shows us a little bit more of a westerly trend with the forecast and the track of this. The greatest concern will be flooding rains again, and remember that Lane just brought torrential downpours to the islands. We're expecting anywhere between 8 and 12 inches of rainfall with isolated amounts. Our live coverage of Hurricane Florence continues. We've got a live look at Raleigh, North Carolina, where you can start experiencing tropical storm force winds by Thursday morning. Stronger by the hour. I'm meteorologist Jackie Jarris. Thanks for being with us tonight. We are live around the clock now tracking Hurricane Florence. We've got a lot of important information that's pouring into the Weather Channel. And before we get to Carl Parker, we want to get you updated on what we know. Tonight, there are states of emergency in effect for South and North Carolina, Virginia, and Maryland. Beginning tomorrow, state leaders will turn Interstate 26 into a one-lane highway, sending everyone away from the coast. The governor ordering 1 million people off the coast. There's also mandatory evacuation orders on the North Carolina coast, including Dare County. And all along that North Carolina coast, preparations are underway tonight. This is Wrightsville Beach. Some boarding up, preparing boats for the destructive winds that are on the way. We want to bring in our storm specialist, Carl Parker, and he's got the latest on where Florence is and just how strong it is, too.
Well, Jackie, this is a very troubling situation. We are talking about a Category 4 hurricane right now, winds of 140 miles per hour. That's probably where this storm is going to be right up until the point that it nears the coast, and that's going to be on Thursday. There is really nothing to keep it from maintaining its intensity as it moves off towards the west-northwest, now moving at 13 miles per hour, may pick up a little bit of forward speed, and then it's going to dramatically slow down as it moves into the coastline, and that's going to bring a whole new set of problems, not the least event for much of the Carolinas and the Mid-Atlantic region. Now, this is the forecast track and intensities from the Hurricane Center, so you notice a strong Category 4 here, 150 mile per hour storm. Again, moving pretty quickly off the northwest, but then at the end of that journey, that's when things really begin to change. So you see there's a lot of separation between the Thursday evening forecast point and the Wednesday evening forecast point, but there is far less separation between Friday evening and Thursday evening. So that is showing you the storm really starting to slow down at that point. It's also being sheared, so it's probably going to lose a lot of its intensity, and it's also going to be interacting with land. But because it's slowing down, we're going to be looking at a really significant, possibly catastrophic flash flooding threat inland, and water is the big killer in hurricanes. About 75% of the fatalities occur because of water. That's because of storm surge flooding and also because of inland flooding. So you've got to make sure that you're away from the water. So this presents a really difficult problem.
Yeah, that's gonna be a difficult because like I literally live right next to the water. So I live in Hampton, right?
Especially with such a large,
so if we go to Virginia Beach, we're going to have to cross a really long bridge.
Will come down. They're not going to be quite as strong as
and that bridge is so long.
So you're certainly going to reduce the
I
wind
feel like
threat as
that's
you move
longer
inland.
than
You're
the
going to be
London
getting away
bridge.
from the surge threat. but will you be getting away from the heavy rain threat? And in fact, take a look. There's a look at the mandatory evacuations in eastern parts of North Carolina in the Outer Banks. So they started today. They continue
and
into
if I
tomorrow
go
morning as well
on
for the northern
to
part of the
that,
Outer Banks, where a lot
that
of you go to
means
the
I
beaches
am going
in the
to
summertime. The sounds there as well. So in these areas, as people move inland, let's say they travel west, they're past Rocky Mountain towards Raleigh, a good 3 hours.
Well, it could have been worse.
If
it was a tornado,
be moving from one problem
we
to
will
another,
all
might
be
be
having
getting
some
away from the very
problems.
worst of the wind
I
and
would
the surge
be dead.
impacts, and moving into an area where you've
And
got
that
a
reminds
tremendous
me of
flash
watching
flooding
like
threat.
people
And this is
coming back
exactly
from a
what we saw in the
hurricane.
case of Hurricane Matthew, where
And
people
some people
moved
left
away from the
their
coast
animals
because they were
there.
told to do so.
Like, I
They were
think
being
that
urged
was
to do so, so they did
stupid.
what they thought was the right
Because
thing,
they
and
left
they moved
their
inland by
pets
100
there.
miles or so, and then they got into hotels, and those hotels were flooded out, and they had to be rescued from the hotels. So you've really got to think about this very carefully. Now, this forecast could change. You want to keep that in mind. This is not set in stone, but it's meant to give you an idea of how this could happen. And if you are moving away from the coast and you go inland, you might be able to drive 4 or 5 or 6 hours and still be in harm.
Hold on.
point. So it's going to be producing a terrific amount of rain going inland into central parts of North Carolina as well as into Virginia. Now that's really important because that means that there are going to be serious threats for flash flooding that are well away from